Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here. Now, as most of you know, I love Happy Feet. I've never given it a full review on the channel, mostly due to time and the movie not being relevant enough, but I have mentioned my love for it in passing. Happy Feet is one of my favorite movies out there, if not one of the most influential of my life. This movie and Penguins of Madagascar kickstarted my penguin obsession, my underwater fixation, and my love of spectacle and scale in movies. Hell, this movie is the reason I have my internet persona as a penguin ninja. My YouTube channel would not be the same without this movie. I am one of those people who 100% agree with it winning the 2006 Oscars and believe it is a better movie than Cars and Surf's Up. Suffice to say, I owe it a lot, and this video is going to be biased as hell. With that said, there is a small YouTuber out there. He probably wouldn't make it big, and you definitely haven't heard of him, but he goes by the name of Schaffrillas Productions. Now, I love Schaffrillas. I've been watching him since 2018, and I love his takes on movies as well as his editing style. This dude is genuinely hilarious.
He even references chocolate rain. How do you do, fellow kids?
This man has single-handedly made the internet imagine him as the creator/voice of Tamatoa. It is amazing to look at the legacy he has left behind. This video is not meant to be an attack on him, his opinions, or even his George Miller video in general. I just noticed that Shafe has a very strong passionate hate towards Happy Feet, and in turn, I'm here to maybe not change his mind, but soften the blow he and his fans have on the movie, and maybe remove some of the slander on its name. I'm not really here to change minds, it's just more so for me to voice my take on a film I think is subjectively good. Again, this is not a hate-filled video, as Shafe himself has said in past videos, and in this specific video I'm responding to, that it is okay for some fans to disagree with him, and that he would even promote videos with different opinions on his community page. If anything, I'm just being the allegations that his fans just parrot everything he says. By the way, Shafe, if you see this video, don't be afraid to at me.
That is Happy Feet 1. I hate this movie more than words could possibly express. And remember, that fact hurts me more than it hurts you. I think
That's a lie, Shafe. You made this rant specifically to trigger me, even though you don't know who I am. I'm gonna dox you for this. Without further ado, let us talk about why Happy Feet is subjectively an amazing movie. To kickstart this off, let's talk about the animation, because, well, that's what we're looking at for most of the movie. To kickstart this off, let's talk about the animation, because, well, that's what we're looking at for most of the movie. I love the animation in this movie. A lot of people today whine and complain about how they're sick and tired of photorealistic animation, but this movie is perfect for it. Not everything needs to be Spider-Verse, guys, and the hyper-realistic animation in this movie puts even modern movies like the Lion King remake to shame. I mean, just look at the emotion on this penguin's face. Where the frick was this for the lion? This also brings me to the motion capture. This movie knocked it out of the park. Unlike a lot of ugly early 2000s movies that didn't know how to use motion capture, Happy Feet uses it solely for the dance scenes, and it does it expertly. The dances are the obvious takeaway from this movie for a lot of people. The movements are perfect, natural looking, and in sync to the beat. In fact, the music is perfect for this movie, but I'll talk about it when I get there. What you need to know now is that this was done practically. The tech was better than whatever else we had at the time, and the tap dancing was so good that even got me into wanting to tap dance for a while as a kid. I mean, how do you look at this and tell me it is not Oscar worthy? This is gonna come off as a hot take, but I kinda like how realistic the penguins look. The bird breasts? Yeah, the cleavage is weird, but I like how distinctive they make the penguins look, despite Shafe claiming that he can't tell the difference between Mumble's mom and girlfriend. A lot of people complain about the uncanny valley, but I don't know, they never looked off to me, even with the mocap and all. The penguin designs absolutely land, because not only do they move and look like real penguins, but when they need to go off model or do something weird for the penguins, it never looks unnatural. Take a look at this scene for instance. Yeah, the flip is weird, that's the penguin going off model, but you can still tell that it's a penguin doing that jump and falling from a high place. I mean, tell me you see this scene of them walking like normal boring penguins and you aren't in the least bit impressed. I've already talked about how amazing their facial expressions are without too much exaggerated movement, but can we talk about their designs, specifically Mumbles? I love how he's still grey even into adulthood. While not scientifically accurate, it shows that this guy still has a lot of growing to do and that this movie is his journey. While not scientifically accurate, it shows that this guy still has a lot of growing to do and that this movie is his journey. His yellow feathers don't even come in until he gets the humans to help out. I think this should be a testament to either the character designers or their trust in the audience to make the penguins look simple yet unique from each other. Another huge animation feat I'd like to point out is the ice. The whole movie is basically white, yet it never once looks boring. The endless icy wasteland has a sort of beauty to how empty and haunting it is. And when we do see life or other backgrounds, they somehow look cooler or more terrifying because we're seeing them from the penguin's point of view. There are also some wild shots in this film. Scenes like with the Great Gwyn, the windy slopes, and as said before, Mumble's jump really go to show how George Miller knows how to perfectly capture scale and why he's the perfect man for Mad Max. Yes, I know he created Mad Max before Happy Feet, just let me make my point. The chase scenes are perfect. Not only are they creative such that none is the same as the last, but they're all intense and adrenaline pumping. The leopard seal chase is terrifying and well remembered for a reason. My personal favorite moment from the film. The killer whale scene was so funny, I dare say it was a killer. I'll see myself out. And even the early scene with the skua had some level of intensity to it, making you feel bad for this poor little guy. And yes, I would be remiss if I didn't mention how fantastic the water looked in this movie. And while true, this is after Finding Nemo, so the achievement wasn't that big anymore, I do still think this point stands as it is a natural progression of that style of animation. Again, just how good it looks. Now we come to a part of the video which I do think is a bit trickier to defend, but I still am gonna do my best because I think it works. As most of you guys know, I detest jukebox musicals with a passion for the same reason most do. Overusing licensed songs is a cheap way for movie studios to garner emotion from the audience and keep the attention of little kids by playing familiar songs they know. The songs they pick most of the time aren't even good and are just selected for the TikTok vids that would follow soon after to gain more traction. It's also a cheap way for the movie studios and already rich song artists to gain more money by essentially sponsoring each other. It's why I respect Pixar movies and good Disney musicals so much, as they either don't have songs or make entirely original songs for their feature films. Now, that isn't to say that I don't like movies with licensed songs or licensed songs being used in movies. That is a bold-faced lie. I love the Shrek and Spider-Verse films, for frick's sake. My personal playlist is full of licensed songs from movies, not even the original. My point is that when the whole film relies on licensed songs to the detriment of the story or integrity of the film itself, or no matter how out of place they are, then we have a problem. It's a major reason why I'm not a fan of the Trolls trilogy. The only jukebox musicals I actually like and accept are the Sing movies, mainly because the licensed songs are the point. Getting mad at Sing is like getting mad at water for being wet, and of course, Happy Feet. The whole point of Happy Feet is that the penguin colony mate through song. That is their practice, and I think it is pretty cool, especially with how it is an inversion of how penguins mate in real life. You see, in the real world, there are actual examples of penguins who do dance to mate, case in point being these South African penguins. But in this movie, since song is the love language and Mumble is the only penguin that dances, it creates a cool origin story of sorts, where the penguins then include dance as part of their love language by the end of the movie. The songs also lend themselves well to the dance scenes. Almost all of them are a natural part of the scene, relevant to the plot and are perfectly in sync to the dances. Mumble's parents' song gives the audience an insight into how penguin culture works. The Penguin March song shows us how the males handle things when the wives are gone. Singing School shows us how the kids are raised. Mumble's private dance along with their graduation show us how alone he is. The Amigos have a different type of song and dance. Boogie Wonderland is the obvious high point of the film where the music and the dancers work in sync. And of course, the ending dancing is your typical kids movie ending. The only one that's a bit iffy and borderline unnecessary is Mumble's banishment, because that one doesn't really need a song in it. Could they have used original songs? Sure, but the fact that they made the extra effort to make the scenes with the licensed songs earned and as unique as possible. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, Jesus! Could they have used original songs? Sure, but the fact that they made the extra effort to make the scenes with the licensed songs earned and as unique as possible without splattering them throughout the film makes it a worthy jukebox musical in my opinion. Heck, I'm pretty sure we don't even get any songs throughout a huge chunk of the third act due to the tonal shift. That is respectable as frick. Okay, so we've talked about how the animation and the music fits into the movie. What about the characters? Are they worth getting invested in? Is it even worth watching this movie if it doesn't have likable characters? Well, I'd argue that they do. Mumble, for one, is an endearing main character. I love how he never once bows to society's whims and continues to dance. It's a part of himself that he can't let go. He's not some naive little fool. He knows he's an outsider and he has grown a personality because of it. He's witty, persistent, and wise beyond his years, while also suffering from low self-esteem and major daddy issues enough that he brings him back down to earth. He's not a little perfect snowflake.
Get it?
His line,
"Don't ask me to change, Pa, 'cause I can't."
goes so hard and encapsulates everything I love about the character. I also like how he doesn't hold any resentment for his father. Yes, Memphis is a problematic character who we'll get to, but Mumble clearly understands that he was trying his best and was clearly scared and confused. Once Memphis admits that he fails Mumble and blames himself for becoming the horrible father he feared, Mumble opens his heart and teaches him to dance. Memphis opens his heart and finally accepts his son. It isn't much, but it does kinda hit. Since we're on the topic, let's talk about Memphis. Memphis is an interesting character in that he's not just the abusive dad or the dad who wants to suppress their kid. I can see how and why people can compare him to Buck Cluck from Chicken Little in the line of horrible animated fathers, but unlike Buck Cluck, Memphis actually has a point to his story. Memphis has an understandable fear of dancing. He once let his voice get carried away so much that he began dancing, which caused Mumble's feet. Ever since, he felt like he failed as a father early on and has been spending his life repenting for his mistake. And while I'm not a father, I can certainly relate to that feeling. Now, of course, Memphis was not right to suppress Mumble's talent, nor disown him in front of the whole colony, but I do like how he and Mumble wrapped things up after coming to his senses. The only thing I would have changed is if we actually saw that change in Memphis. However, unlike lesser movies like Chicken Little, I really like the end to Memphis' story because there are no stakes to Memphis not learning to dance. The ending would have been the same whether or not he and Mumble reconciled. This means that Memphis needed to want to dance in order to repair his relationship with his son, and I think that's more endearing. And then we have Gloria, who in my opinion is a more or less well done love interest. Yeah, this is an early 2000s movie, so of course she's like the final reward for our male main character, but I do like the writing around her. Aside from that one scene, the scene I'm showing you right now, which, yeah, it still overall works for the movie's favor, but still, it's just really hard to get through. However, with that being said, I still like how independent Gloria is, and while she doesn't really have an arc in the movie, her personality is enough to make her stand out, and she is the first of the Emperor Penguins to truly appreciate Mumble for his talent. My only issue with her is, again, the scene where she tries to tag along with Mumble on his adventure. Mumble understandably doesn't want her to come, as that puts her in unnecessary danger. Gloria is persistent on staying, and this forces Mumble to act out of character to force her away. I get why they wrote this scene like this. I do. It's meant to make Mumble look good and show his strong will. But showing Gloria to be this floof was not the right way of going about it. This is just blatant, use the woman to make the man look good, which hasn't aged well. Not to mention that the amigos still tag along with Mumble, despite them also being in danger. Mumble even told him in a previous scene that they don't need to join him, yet they still join because, well, they care about him. Yet he turns away Gloria, someone he's known from childhood? That doesn't make sense. He only really needs Lovelace, yet the amigos join in. Why didn't Gloria join in as well? I don't know, to me, this is definitely one of those scenes from the movie that didn't age well. I don't like the scene, but as said, I do like Gloria as a character. Mumble's mom doesn't really do much, but I do like how she loves and accepts her son no matter what. The amigos are fun if unnecessary. You could tell they wanted to give off Penguins of Madagascar vibes, despite this film only coming out a year after Madagascar. It had the cast way too stacked. None outside of Ramon are really memorable or funny, and they add nothing to an already bloated cast. Not to mention that Lovelace being added in later anyway doesn't help much. The movie would have benefited if it was just 2 or 3 amigos and Lovelace got added in as the movie went on. And as mentioned before, if you removed one of the amigos and replaced him with Gloria, then we could have more chemistry and dynamic in the cast. Plus, again, Robin Williams voices both Ramon and Lovelace in this movie. The movie would have been funny on its own with Robin Williams just having chemistry with himself. Now, I originally wasn't going to talk about one of the movie's antagonists, Noah, as he doesn't really do much in the film aside from, kick Mumble out and just be an old grouch. However, there is something Shafe mentioned in his video that I feel like I should address, but again, because I'm not really an expert in this field, I'm not going to talk about it too much. It's just something I feel the need to point out, and I guess explain why I never took it into consideration before. And I don't know if this improves the movie for you or not, but it's something that I figured I'd point out anyway.
This movie is okay when it's just about Mumble struggling to fit in because of his passion for dancing and inability to sing. But then they try and equate interest in dancing to religious blasphemy, even though they did a piss poor job of establishing that this is a highly religious society in the first half of the movie. I guess there was the scene where Memphis drops the egg, but that could also be seen as just a special birthing ritual or something. Nothing after Mumble is born resembles rigid religious structures in the slightest. It's pretty much just sprung on you in a scene towards the middle, and it's like, wait, this is what the movie was about. Well, now it is apparently.
And yeah, for that point, maybe it's just me, but I never took Mumble's community to be overly religious. Highly cultured maybe, but religious less so. The Great Gwyn isn't even mentioned for all of the back half of the movie. I took Noah and his goons to just be oldies who are too stuck in their ways and are using the Great Gwyn to justify their abuse towards Mumble, and of course his eventual banishment. If the movie was using religious connotations to push the culture and was the basis for Mumble's problems, then I'd agree. But as such, it just looks like a culture issue. I don't even think the movie is trying to say anything religious about Mumble as a character. Heck, Mumble didn't even go out to prove that the Great Gwyn didn't exist. He never even insinuated that. He went on to explain why the fish were missing and why he and the Great Gwyn weren't behind it. Then again, maybe it was about religion, and I'm just depressingly media illiterate. And as we near the revelation of this already weird video essay, I want to talk about the comedy of this movie because, well, kids loved it for a reason. It's hella funny. I rewatched this movie the other day in preparation for this video, and I was surprised as to how many jokes I laughed at as I viewed the film. So yeah, I understand that this part of the video is going to be hella subjective. Then again, the whole video is already subjective, but I found this to be a very funny movie. I mean, just look at these clips and tell me no one of them at least gets a giggle out of you.
He compares me to a stork. Tell him to go forth and multiply. Come to think of it, why don't we all go forth and multiply? Joe! Thank you, my brother, thank you. I can do this, I got to trick myself. Boy, look at that. What?
Come here, sausage. I take you with ketchup.
But first we got to catch up. Look at him. Oh, he's leaving. Oh, no, that was his fist.
Remember, dumplings? I know where you live.
Yeah, it's called landlord face. Oh, I love gravity. Oh, I feel like reminiscing. Reminiscing? It's like a joke sometimes that makes you wonder how I keep jumping.
Of course, each is entitled to their own opinion, but stuff like this is what makes this movie memorable to me. Again, maybe it's different for Shafe, but I just love the absolutely bonkers place this movie goes to at times. Now, let's talk about the structure of this film and how kind of problematic it is at times. I know Shafe complains about the structure of this movie's plot, and to an extent, I agree with him. The movie randomly throws in plot points that don't get revisited for another half hour. Heck, Mumble doesn't even leave home until the halfway mark. I know this. I checked. That's just not good pacing. Same goes with the overfishing problem. It's a huge plot point in the movie, but other than a few characters talking about it, we never really see its effects. In all honesty, I would have much rather if they talked about climate change, because we do see the effects of that in both this movie and its sequel. This is a point I fully agree with Schaffrillas on, and it does drag the movie down a couple points for me. And yes, I also agree with the point that this movie is just too sexual. But weirdly enough, I found that part of its comedic charm. Am I wrong in discussing for saying that? Yes, and you are fully in the right for disagreeing with me. However, one thing I will defend is how the humans are portrayed in this film. Unlike other environmental films, which this film surprisingly is, there is not one human or big business who's the bad guy. It's the entire fishing industry, and to an extension, the human race who's called out and they actually work together to reduce overfishing. Is it a bit idealistic? Yes, but this is also the movie about dancing penguins, so please calm down. My main takeaway is, I'm impressed with how this movie was able to call out humans and their damage to the environment. Especially considering this film came out 6 years before the Lorax, another environmental film which decided to blame all its problems on one human. Like, huh? Conclusion, I think Happy Feet is a brilliant movie that tackles the classic message of just because you're different doesn't mean you can't do magnificent. There we go. In conclusion, I think Happy Feet is a brilliant movie that tackles the classic message of just because you're different doesn't mean you can't do magnificent. God damn it. In conclusion, I think Happy Feet is a brilliant movie that tackles the classic message of just because you're different doesn't mean you can't do magnificent. Okay, you know what? It's fine. You're different doesn't mean you can't do magnificent. You know what? Screw it. It's fine. It's fine. In conclusion, I think Happy Feet is a brilliant movie that tackles the classic message of just because you're different doesn't mean you can't do great things in life. It's full of fun songs, great animation, funny characters, and I would highly recommend you, especially you Schaffrillas fans who just gobble and regurgitate his opinions, to give it another watch. You might just be surprised, if not left a little happy. 8 out of 10 from me, a fun watch. If you're wondering why I'm not defending the second movie, yeah, Shafe was right.
Even if you like the first movie as an adult, statistically speaking, you probably won't like this one. It's dull, it's stupid, it's comparatively scaled down, it's unbearable.
Yeah, the only stuff I like from Happy Feet 2 is the same stuff Shafe does. The krill, Numa Numa, Under Pressure, and the one song from the Puffin. That's about it. So yeah, don't expect a passionate video essay review on that one. And to you, Schaffrillas, if this does reach you, thank you for hearing me out, and I still have the utmost respect for you. With that said, thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell to be part of the team, and check out my movie reviews playlist if you want to see more of my crazy takes. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I have been Captain Phoenix, and with that, I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.